Hello and welcome. Good morning. This is our Monday Magic Call. We have been having these weekly and typically we have a handful of people. I've been doing it kind of ad hoc and just kind of building it as we go. And you might see some notes over here. I have a whole board over here. Really got super clear on where I'm headed. And as a result, I'm just like all alive today. And so I'm realizing the gift that is, and I want to bring that to y'all. So I call it Monday Magic. And really, it's just because I don't like the word planning. There's a lot of words. I actually created a little sticky note here of like words I don't like: habit, goal, consistency, routine, procrastination. Like they're all these words for me that I hear and I identify so much and trigger me so much that they don't work for me. And so I like to bring creativity to language. I like to linguistic shift things so I can trick my brain into thinking it's something other than it is. And for planning, I have always been an avid goal planner. I lived for it, and it was stress-induced goal planning. It was to force myself to do my week. I actually even saw myself doing it this morning. I had this call at 9. I woke up late, was babysitting my sister's dog, had some more demands in my morning, didn't go as normal. And I had all this pressure that showed up, and I was like scrambling and I'm like, where is all this pressure coming from? The pressure's off. And so that's what this call is intended to do, is to take the pressure off of your week, because we don't work well with pressure. We just don't. Except we think that we do. It's very confusing because we will apply it thinking that it works. And sometimes it can, because that stress-induced hyper-focus, deadline, pressure can work at certain times. But we've gotten proof that it does work. And the way our bodies are designed, the way that we are meant to be, is the pressure's off. Just show up and do what we want. And we really become this like enjoyable, unstoppable place of happiness. Like we don't have to drudgery the week. Like it's weird to think about. I have a to-do list that is causing a little anxiety. So there's just all these feelings that we bring into the week. And I want to shift that and help you shift that and create some magic around what it looks like to actually go into the week in a way that is enjoyable, that goes in the week, taking some of the burden off where you can, and really using the shift from I'm overwhelmed, I'm confused, I don't know what to do, or just like disassociate, disconnect. That's another way I'll go through the week of just like, I'm just going to pretend none of it exists. We're going to take that off. We're going to get connected, grounded, and like this reinvigorated, like, oh no, this is how I want my week to work. This is how it is. And it can look like a lot of different ways. That's one reason too. I'm discovering how to do this because I'm very much, as an ADHD living strategist, I want to empower you to do what works for your world, your week. And I have it my way, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it will work. And what works for me might not work for you, and what works for someone else may work for you. Like there's all this stuff. And so I want to bring us together and be able to leverage each other's strategies so that we can do that. And actually, I'm going to go a little backstory here just because I got, again, super clear this weekend that I feel like I get to say what is in my heart and what I'm headed now, is at the end of the day, I say I'm an ADHD living strategist. And what that really means is that we do well with intentions. If we say, instead of goals, I want you to think of it as intentions. When we have intentions, it's an aim. And in order to accomplish an aim, you need a strategy. And so that's really the like story behind what I'm out to do, is to help create strategy around what your intention is. And so that's what I want to set for this week. So today is the last Monday of August. And so I don't know where you found yourself. I actually have a post I'm going to go find today, because at the beginning of August, I said, what do you want your future self? What do you want yourself to tell yourself at the end of August? So I want to ask these questions. We do well with like one-dimensional thinking, which is just meaning like from A to B. I like to think of it also as like yes or no questions. And I don't always communicate at that level. So we kind of do both. We are that paradox where I'll ask like all the open-ended, like confusing, mixed story questions where you're like, what did she just say? And then also be like point blank, yes or no. And so you may find me fixing the ways that I say things, because I'll say it very confusing, kind of get it out, and then be like, oh, that's what I'm trying to say, which again, I prescribe this: how you do anything is how you do everything. And that right there is a perfect example. I'll say it all messy, confusing, but because I've said it messy and confusing, we can collect and get down to the like, okay, what is actually here? What kind of the magic we're out to create today. So the question I wanted to do, and because this is recorded, and I do have someone here off audio or off video, I'll give like a brief minute, but if you're watching this at a different time, pause and take a moment. And so what I want you to do at this stage, I guess, 0, we're at that like ground zero. The first step, what we'll do first step, is define how you want to capture this. And I actually want to invite you into considering a possibility of ways you could capture this for maybe into the future. I want to do this consistently. And so if this is something that connects with you and something you want to continue to do, where could you collect this that works? For me personally, I use Notion. I love Notion. It's what I live by. I hope to share more if those are people are interested in learning more about Notion, just because it's like this like eternally saved Word doc in beautiful fashion that shows the same on every single doc or every single app or device that I have. So that's where I'll save it. A notebook, piece of paper, you pick. So find somewhere that you want to collect some information for today. And then after you do that, I want you to start with the question, was there, and you don't write this down if you want to, you're welcome to. If you just like kind of what shows up instantaneously. And I also want to invite you to real life, like as in real life, whole life. We want to deal with real life here because that's actually what makes a difference. We can give the like perfect right answer, which is how most of us have gone through life because we don't really have space to be ourselves. We don't really have this like freedom to just be as we are because we've got to have the right answer. We got this pressure to perform and be something, kind of like if I let the pressure go, I don't know what will show up. So I really want this to be a space where you get to be real life. So if real life, like authenticity is a normal way of you, this will be easy to invite you to. If it's not, I invite you to take one little step forward of a little bit more intimate, a little more authenticity, or a little bit more real, like to the gut level of what's really there. And actually, I didn't even invite those of you who would be like, no, I'm super authentic, I'm really real. No, get real more. Like always go a little bit more because there's always something a little bit deeper. And that's what I really, really, really want to invite you into because that gets exciting. I might be traumatizing or scary. Like that's a normal experience. That's a normal feeling. And again, real life, whole life, we're out to shift and kind of move through that. So as real as you can get, first question, we're going to start with, was there anything you're proud of completing last month? So that was August. I also want to say too, we can have a little bit of working memory or a challenge to go back and look back in the past. So I don't want you to do that. I just want you to sit present where you're at and say, was there anything I was proud of? Do you have that feeling of being proud for the month? And I want you to see yes or no. I'll share a little bit of my world. August is I would want to use the words brutal. Like it's a brutal experience for me because I'm a wedding photographer. I also usually have like a lot of ambition. So still shooting weddings. I'm still now editing all the weddings that I've been shooting the prior 2 months. And I usually have something that I'm wanting to do on the side, which right now is launching my 3-day course here. So personally, it was, and the grounding of this monthly or weekly call, I actually was able to move through some really, really big things. And so for me personally, I made it. So I'm really proud that I made it. And that's all that that's it. Like I am proud that I made it. I also will say too, I put a lot of usually expectation on myself. And so giving that up and just saying, I did what I did. I did the best that I could. And I'm at a place where I'm excited to start September. I'm feeling at a place that I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like at the end of the month to be able to be at this space right now in this space of time. I'm proud. I'm proud to get here. And if that's not a space, if you're not feeling proud, I just want to encourage you in saying that's okay. That's feedback. That's information. That is an opportunity to say, okay, what happened last month didn't produce the proud feelings. It's actually an opportunity to say, what could and what would, and actually give some space to create that. And so I don't want you to get wrapped up in that feeling of not feeling proud as like I failed, because that's not a thing. Failure doesn't exist here. It's all feedback. So with that feedback, if you weren't proud of the last month, then like let's create newly, let's create some magic around that, and like let's create what's realistic so that that feeling is what's there for you at the end of the month, because that is that is. And then actually I can't remember, I saw it, someone joined the group. I can't remember what it's called. It says something along the lines of like, do something until you're proud. And just this like commitment, this relentlessness, this dedication to the discovery compared to, I gotta white knuckle it through. We're out to discover and move through it. So we've got that first question. Are you proud or not? That kind of thought there. We're going to then shift into, do you know what you would want your month to look like? Do you know what you'd want September to be like, so that at the end of the month, you could say, I am proud of my month? Do you know what that could even look like? So yes or no again. Do you know what would it look like? Give a couple minutes there. Again, if you're watching this later, pause if you are watching, because I want you to be able to not be interrupted by my talking. So for me personally, as I head into September, I know what would have me feel proud. And that would be launching my 3-day course, which I'm so excited to launch into the world. And I'll be sharing obviously so much more here in the group. And it's been in the works for a long time. So I've had a lot of pressure around it, like figure this out. And actually wanted it to be in the beginning of August, and I let that go. I was able to say, nope, this is unrealistic, because I was able to see what was realistic and gave it up. And then it was like September. And now it is a better space. I have the time. My life is shifting from a completely inconsistent week to a very consistent, like actually the last 4 years, my husband's schedule has not been consistent. It's like every 5 days it rotates. It's wild. And that's just worked for us. It's shifting to a 4-day a week, like consistent, like I can have consistency in my life for the first time in like 5 years. And working from home, like there's a whole world. So I know for me, it would be launching and discovering how to do routine, how to do this next season, discovering what works and what doesn't. I know if I was able to get that kind of feedback, to be able to put that into existence and get that kind of feedback, that would leave me proud at the end of the month. And so the next question I want to ask is actually the next action, or kind of more open-ended question I would ask. And actually I will want to play around with this. If you do this and have any challenge with it, let me know too, because I actually want to create like a Mad Lib monthly letter, so that you go in and fill out the question, or fill out like the different types of words you can fill in. So it's a monthly letter format. So I'll play around with that today, but I really want you to spend and write 2 to 3 sentences. And if you're someone who's like, nope, I got more in me, write more. Write a sentence, 2 or 3, whatever is realistic for you at this stage, of what do you want yourself at the end of September to read? What do you want that, or do you want to read what do you want to read? And we aren't the best at future self. So just know that's a thing for us. We can want things, but staying connected to future self is a little bit of a weakness for us. So past and future are not our strong suit. So we actually get to find ways to bring things into existence in present, kind of in that now moment, so that we can bring the kind of past and present in the ways that we want them to, kind of create that in our lives. So take a sentence or 2. What do you want to tell yourself at the end of September? And I'll do this live here. I had my little timer going, but we're gonna let it go. So pause if you haven't done it yet. And then if you have, I'm going to say, I want to tell myself at the end of September. I got some emotion coming up as I did that. Jenna, so if you struggled with this is maybe why I'm struggling with it too. I want to say you tried a lot of new things this month. You stepped out in a way, you went out on the skinny branches, you took risks that you have been terrified of taking for years, and you most likely apply perfectionism and pressure to the situation from time to time. But I'm really thankful and proud of you for letting those go each time it came up, that you saw the feelings that showed up in pressure and remember just to let that go, to release the pressure and to show up as you are, authentic and free. And you massively discovered what made a difference, so that you can continue to develop and grow and bring in version 2.0, version 3.0, whatever's next. But you really got out on the court and took the action to discover what was needed, what was your thing, what you are creating in the world. You got to get the feedback on that. And so I'm just really proud that you took the action, and I'm really, really excited for what's next. So that's kind of my off the cuff words that come up when I think of what I want to tell myself at the end of next month. And then after that, I'm going to have you take a moment, because now we have that kind of cleared. We're going to take this to kind of a different direction, or different kind of phase of this planning. And I want you to write out and take 5 minutes. And so I'm not going to take 5 minutes on the call, but I want you to pause and set a timer. If 5 minutes feels like unrealistic, set a timer for a minute, 3 minutes, you pick your time. That also shows up like is like something I call my ego number. When I hear like set a timer for 5 minutes and I resist it, it's like, nope, too much. Perfect, not a problem. That's feedback. What does 3 minutes feel like? If that's still too much, what's 1 minute feel like? So finding the number that keeps your ego at bay is a very magical thing. So find that for you and set the timer for that 1, 3, 5 you pick. If you're like, no, I'm ready. And actually, to set the context of this, we're going to be doing I call it a brain bucket. You can call it a brain dump, and I'll sometimes call it all the things, whatever invites you into putting everything out. Take the time to set that timer to do that. And if you're like, I have a lot, then I want you to set it for what works for you, but be realistic. Again, we're taking the pressure off and the perfectionist off. We're just trying to get something out because we don't store stuff in our brains and our bodies very well. So we want to get it onto paper, or wherever you're storing this information, if you found a different format to do that, or whatever works for you. So what you want to do is write out all the heavy things and heavy things, open loops. I need to do that. I want to do that, just really all the things. So take a moment, pause this and do that. And then I'll give you a second to reset. So pause. I'm going to move this because it's lighting my face weird. Still lighting my face weird. That's a little better. I'm gonna have to work on some. I moved my desk, you can't tell, so that doesn't work either. I want to be purple, purple things. Okay, so now that you've done that, we are going to take the list and we are going to start kind of chunking it up in some ways, which actually made some notes. How did I want to do this? Thought I had made some notes. Maybe not. Okay, so what we want to do is go through and I want you to highlight, circle all the things you're interested in, all the things you want to do, all the things that this headed into September, whether it be this week, today, whatever, or all of next month that you want, authentically interested in doing. I want you to highlight all of those. And then again, we'll do kind of a pause and come back. So pause, do that. And then I want you to next go through and circle all the things that have to be done, that you really don't have a choice. There's a deadline there. You know that it doesn't have a choice to be brought into tomorrow, next week, into October, something that is dependent on you to complete. I want you to circle all those. Then after you circle all those, I want you to put a number somewhere around it from 1 to 3 of your interest level in completing that. And actually something I want to say too, which I forgot to say, something I'll kind of lead with going forward. It's just this concept of like your to-do list makes sense. If you're not completing it, there's actually a reason behind that. And so that's where that strategy comes in, because you want to discover what is going on behind the scenes to cause the list not to be completed. It's okay. For example, my laundry has not been completed probably all of September. I'm not proud of that. And instead of like judging myself that my laundry hasn't been done, I'm discovering, no, there's something that's not working. It doesn't live in my I can do that bucket. So to put that on me to depend on completing this is unrealistic, because I'm never going to do it if it doesn't live in my I can do that bucket. I like to say, I only can do what I can do. And if it doesn't live in that bucket, it's not going to get done. So it makes sense. And I personally find that that's like a really freeing way to live, instead of like, I have to depend on my might. I just have to depend on my can and my ability of like what shows up as making sense, and having the time and the space for it. So for actually laundry, I haven't done it for a month, and I've been pretty good, actually probably more than a month. I think you all been hearing me complain about laundry since starting. I have a way of resetting my closet that works really well, and I haven't done that. So I'm only as good as my system. So the reality is it's now a project of resetting the whole system. So with that, that's what I want to accomplish in September. I actually want to possibly accomplish it today before even September. And I'm authentically interested in that now. I was not before, I am now. So I'm going to put that as a 1, as I'm interested in it. And then things that you are, so I'll have you go through the list. 1 is most interested, like number 1 on the list, top of the list. And then you got 2, like I can go either way. And 3 is like, there's no interest in that. So again, your to-do list makes sense. Take a moment, pause, complete that 1 to 3 rating for your circles I have to do. And then when you come back, I want you to see all that's remaining. So you have what you want to authentically do, what you have to do, and you know now where it lives authentic. I have a feeling if, yeah, there's some nuance there that I'm not going to go into. So bear with me if some of that's confusing. Give me feedback if that's confusing, so I can build that there. And then the third step is what you have left over. And I want you to consider that there's a chance that unless it shows up in your I can do that bucket, unless it shows up in the interest or the have to, it may live there for another month. Is that okay for you? Consider the list of like what's there and ask, do you want to shift that into interest, or do you want to shift that into where you're giving yourself a, I don't want to say have to, because I don't want to add pressure. So it's like, I'd rather get it shifted into the authentic stuff. So just see it for what it is. And then I would love actually for you to live with this list for the month, and then we'll come back and add to it and play around with that list in some ways. And so this will be where we start. And what would be awesome is that at the end of the month, we can come back to it. So even if you just start the list, you don't have to work from it on a day-to-day basis. Just want to give you permission there that it's simply for the project of putting it down on paper into existence. It's not for you to have to live by. If you lose it, like, it's not the end of the world. Maybe take a photo of it on your phone so you don't lose it. You can come back to it in some ways. It's just getting it down. I don't know if you're like me, if I'm going to go to the grocery store, I just have to put a list down and then I can go grocery shopping. Okay, so now we have that. Now you have your list, and what I want your brain is actually what it is. It's your brain on paper. So now I want to shift in this last third phase, which is perfect because I'm working on keeping this to 30 minutes. And so I want to leave you with this next stuff. So for this next phase, this is the reality of putting it into existence. So if it doesn't live in existence, you're going to go to your lowest common denominator is kind of how I think of it. If it's not a word I don't like to use, a habit, if it's not in your normal, if it's not showing up in your life is like, I'm doing this, I'm normally doing this, I can do this. The work it takes to remember is it takes something, which is fine. If you just want to go with what shows up, awesome. If you want to just show up in response to your week and hopefully get some of it done, awesome. That's often how I go through life, and just have the important things like scheduled on my calendar. So choose what works for you here. I want you to be in discovery. I don't want to tell you how to do this next phase. I just want to give you some inspiration, some direction that can help kind of be a little bit of guardrails, and really help you get it into existence and discover what happens when you get stuff into existence, and getting clear. So this next phase is the reality of getting down to that one-dimensional world. And what some ways I want you to think about that is when you see all the things on your list, like picking the one, like picking whether you're reorganizing it to have it like, this is what I do this week or this day, or however you want to do that. Or if this is just a list you have, like, I'm just throwing the ideas out. So you get creative and create what works for you. If you go through the list and like, almost like, I'm going to cherry pick this thing and now I have it over here. What I want you to think about is the context, which I struggled with this word for forever. My brain couldn't get the word context. And how I see the word context is it's literally my window. I look at, you can't see it right now, I have a big window in my office. So anytime the word context comes into my head, I think of my window. And I say my context is I'm standing in front of my window and I'm looking out, and that's what I can see for that context. That's my context, my frame. And so when you think of that task, I want you to put it in front of your window and look out your window in your context and say, okay, what does my context look like? Where am I at? What is it? What is needed to be in that space? Like, what does the picture look like? Really being able to be visual of like, okay, I have a person I've been meaning to message. I don't know if this relates to you, where you like didn't message them and then the pressure shows up. And so you don't do it for like a month, and then you need to, and you don't want to. The context I need is to be at my computer. I need to be on my phone. I need this, like, these are the pictures, like painting the picture of what it would look like, so that when I see that task, I already have a visual of what the world looks like. And then I can get clear on the step that needs to be taken. If tasks live in your world, you're like, I can just do that, then just do it. But if these are ones that you're like, I'm not too sure, I'm not getting them completed, those are some ideas of like creating that context. And then making sure that they're in the steps. I don't know if you've seen my video on going from to-do list to step list. We're not worried about to-dos, we're worried about steps. Again, my laundry, my step is going to be which actually is more complex. And that's why it's stopping me in a way, is I want to actually record it for YouTube to be able to share how my process is. And so I actually need to sit down and paint the picture of what that looks like. So I don't know. So being able to get really clear on each task, when you're ready, when you want, maybe it's one a week or day, you pick, like, you full freedom here. And it's also meeting you where you're currently at with your way of putting things into existence. Like, you are where you're at. I know planners and planning is a very complex and sometimes triggering process for those with ADHD. In the world of, I've tried all the planners and they don't work. Yes, not a problem. We want to discover what works for you. And so I like to say, I do what works for me today. I change it up all the time. I'm using another app this week to play with a to-do list. Like, I love creating novelty. I love creating the new system so that I have that there. And it's more about just having this, like, all the things, the place where it is safe, and then being able to use whatever strategy and format you use for actually tracking and completing it, and just being able to see it in existence. And so that's what I guess I want to leave you with in this next phase, discovering what is needed, what you want. Just actually, I'm gonna shift from need to want, which this is actually a linguistic shift I'm starting and working on, and it's not easy, from need to want. So technically, if your brain only needs food, water, shelter. Like, that's all your brain knows that it needs. It doesn't need anything else. Everything else you say that you need is inauthentic. You don't need to. I don't need to put it into there. I don't need, like, it's a subconscious trick that we can play with, is that saying that I need to do something is inauthentic. Again, my brain won't like it. It doesn't work. So I want to is usually what is replacing it with. And it doesn't necessarily mean you want to do the thing. It's, I want to discover how to do it. I want to get help how to do it. Like, I don't know how. So, like, it allows you, if you don't say I need to, that allows you to get authentic, because you don't want to be inauthentic again to say, okay, I want to do my clothes. No, it's to say, I don't want to do my clothes. So what do I want to do so that I can discover how to do that? Because I'll say, oh, I need to do that. And it's like, no, it's inauthentic. I still haven't shifted this one. So you guys are getting to discover a linguistic shift that I am newly in discover. And it's been the hardest one I think I've done to date. Like, still struggles. Getting up need is really tricky. So anyways, I want to invite you into that to play around with, because that's making a difference for me, and see if it makes a difference for anyone else. And so what do you want to do? And if you don't know what you want to do, what do you want to do to discover what you want to do? Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And so really getting super clear on what do you want. So I'm going to leave you with your list, and then I'm actually going to last in this on one final question, which is what I just asked, but I want you to really take a moment to write down what shows up. And I want you to go with that gut answer. I want you to go with the response. And so the first question is, do you know what you want? And that's going to be yes, no. Do you know what you want? What shows up? If there's confusion there, no, you don't know what you want. And that's okay. It's okay to not know what you want. And so yes or no, how does that answer? And then what shows up in either of those answers, take a moment to write a sentence or two of what does show up, what do you want? And I'll say, for me, what do I want for September? I want to launch my 3-day course so much. I'm really excited for what's next, and really how that 3-day course will build in and birth some structure, which is what I think I'm most excited for, is the possibility of really creating community, creating structure, creating traction when it comes to discovering how to do ADHD in a way that's not confusing. So I'm in discovery. So you get to see what it's like firsthand first, behind the scenes, and we'll run with that. That's why I'm sharing it all here for what you got. So I hope this was of value. I hope you all have an awesome day, week, month. At this moment, at this stage, what I'm intending is a Wednesday. I'm really hoping it's this Wednesday. Going forward, every Wednesday works. This one could be questionable. Wednesday, a strategy call. So stay tuned in the group to see if that is in existence. The hub that I have put together on Notion will have the information always there. So if you can't find it in the Facebook group, always go to the hub. I'll ensure make sure that's pinned to the announcement tab. And then, so that's a strategy call. And what I want to do there is just a live, like, where's your breakdowns for the week? Like, let's work through them. and just have that discussion. So I want that to kind of almost be like live office hours or like a live strategy session with everyone. So we're going to start them as we can. And then if by chance we gain the momentum, we'll have people submit their questions. Or I'll just look at different questions in the group and answer them if no one shows. We'll make it work regardless. And so Monday and Wednesday is what we're shooting for. I hope to eventually add something on Friday, more to come. And I'm going to start working on planning or recording these. I haven't recorded these up until now. So if you've benefited from the recording, let me know. I want to thank you for those of you that are here live, because not talking to myself in a room is the biggest gift. And I just really appreciate you. I believe I make more sense because I feel like I'm talking to you today. So thank you for being here. You're a gift. And my mission, my purpose in life is to have the world work. And my current mission is having the world work for ADHD brains, mine included. So I want to continue to grow, develop, and be in there. So feedback is a gift. And I just want to thank you all for being here. Help me know what you want, what you need. You only need food, water, shelter. If you need food, water, shelter, let me know if you have those needs. We want to get your basic needs met. And let me know what you want, because I want to help create what could make a difference and really begin to make ADHD not confusing in the world is like my big current purpose mission thing. So more to come. I'll talk forever, so I'll let y'all go. Take care.